Good morning, sixth grade. It is a brand new day today, and you have count them, 2 days left of school, which is amazing. And I know that's so exciting for all of you. I know you are ready for this distance learning to be over. I know it's so difficult to do it at home and concentrate at home, but I'm really proud of all of you. You've done an amazing, amazing job. As I sent out on Jupiter yesterday, I have finished grading everything that I have here at my house that came from your folders, and it has all been put in Jupiter. So any missing assignments that you still have, you have until Friday to finish. If I get them in your folder on Friday and they are completed, you get 100% class participation credit, even though they are late. So those zeros, those missing assignments are bringing some of your grades down so fast. So please make sure and get those turned in. I kind of want to tell you, I've been very careful with your assignments. So please don't think, oh, I sent all this work to Sister Preston and she's lost it. It has all stayed together in your folders. And then once I took it out of the folders, I put all those math pages together, all those language pages together. Then I sorted them all back into your individual folders again. So I have kept up with everything in the same place in my house. So if you turn them into me, then I should have them here at my house. So moving on from that, we have 2 days left. As I said, a little bit of work today. Please make sure you must tune in to YouTube tomorrow. So I'm going to figure out how I'm going to have you let me know that you're there. I'm not quite sure how to do that yet. But before we get started on our day, let's have some prayer time. I'm not feeling well today. I think it's more of an allergy thing, but if you'll remember your teacher in prayer. So let's bow our heads this morning. Dear Lord, I love you today. I thank you, Jesus, for this beautiful morning that you've given to us, Lord. I thank you for your touch and your help and your presence that we can feel. Lord, I thank you that you are as close as the mention of your name. Jesus, I pray that you will continue to touch the Maury family. Lord, I pray that you will continue to touch Carly's mom and her sisters, Lord, as they're going through this time. They have been so heavy on my heart, and I ask that your peace be with them. Lord, I pray that you will touch all of my sixth graders as they're making plans for summer and getting excited about summer. I ask that your hand of protection be upon all that they do this summer. I pray, dear Jesus, that you will keep them safe and keep them well. I thank you, Lord, for their parents that have been such a help during this distance learning. I pray that you will bless our families, our sixth grade families, for all that they've done. I love you, Lord, and I thank you for your goodness to each and every one of us. Help us on these last 2 days to focus and to get things done. In Jesus' name, amen. Before we get going on math today, Mari sent me a text and asked me if I would go through the answers to this, and I will be glad to. I sent a prize home to everybody that sent me papers on this, except for Daniel, because Daniel, I just got your paper in your folder this week, so I'm sending you a prize home this Friday for it. But I did not go through and tell you who had the correct answers. So I'm going to go through and do that now. Mari reminded me, and I'm glad she did. All right, let's just kind of go side by side here. Having trouble holding on to everything. On this side, we have number 2 is Miss, most of you got this one correct, Brianna. Isn't that adorable? Number 6, I'm going to get in real close and try to keep the shadow off of it, is Mari. Number 13, who do you think? It's Daniel. Number 9, look at that sweet little face with those praying hands, is Owen, and I've got him blurry. That's a little bit better right there. So that's for the side. Let's go to the middle here. Number 14, some people thought it was Lucas because they looked a lot like when they were babies, but it is Hunter. And this is Miss Caitlin Hannah. Look at that smile. Going on down and over, Caitlin Coombs, who's sticking her tongue out at us. And here we have Miss Carly. Look at those pretty blue eyes. Going on up, look at this beautiful baby. That is Lavinia. And check out this baby. Cutest thing in the world. That's Sister Preston. And this Can you guess whose dimples those belong to? That is Mr. Matthew. Love that sweet picture. Going on over. Okay, hang on, guys. Sorry, I'm having trouble. You know me. Going on over, I'll hold it this way. Right down here, this cute strawberry little outfit is Addison. On up here, the little fairy costume. So cute. Natalie Ferguson. And this cutie here looking up with his little hands clasped is Jacob Smith. Is that not adorable? I'm trying to hold it where you guys can see it. Oh, though when I hold it that way, you get more of a glare on there. So I think I went through everybody. Let me glance over. Yes, I did. And also, Ariana sent me her picture and it got caught down in her folder. And I did not get it put it on the board because I didn't know it was caught in her folder. And Ariana, I apologize about that I did not get your picture put on our baby pictures. But if you kept your paper and you want to check your answers, you can check them now. And these baby pictures will be sent home in your folders on Friday because I know those are important to keep up with. I know they're important to your parents. So I will send those on Friday. So look down in your pockets on those for Friday. And we are heading into math. And as I was grading papers this week, oh my goodness, some of you are blowing order of operations out of the water. I'm so proud of you guys. That's something that's just a little hard and new and confusing. And you guys are doing amazing on it. Those of you that are still struggling, go back and watch my YouTube videos. Go back and look over your boxes. Call me if you want to call me and ask me some questions. I tried to make some notes on some of your papers to give you some help on those. So go ahead and look those over and maybe that will help. All right, we are going to move into math. So I will see you there. All right, yesterday in math, we talked about the square root of a number and finding its square root, a perfect square. We would be spending more time on that together if we were in a classroom setting because it's important for next year. So I hope you really paid attention and really listened to that lesson. And I just want to hit this lesson. It's the same thing. It's an important lesson for 7th grade. So I really, oh, my sign's coming down. Really want you to pay attention and focus again on this lesson. Today, we're going to talk about negative numbers. I'm not sure if you were introduced to negative numbers by Sister Kelly in 5th grade, but you will be doing it in 7th grade. So I want to give you a little taste of it. Temperatures, a lot of times, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. As I said, I don't feel good today, so my very confused brain is even a little more confused than normal. But temperatures that, let me start one more time. Take these glasses off, maybe that'll help me think. We hear about negative numbers often when we're discussing temperature. When you're watching the news in the winter, not so much here in Tennessee, but sometimes you'll hear it's going to be a cold night tonight. It's going to get, the wind chill is going to be 2 below 0. And that is a negative number. It is 2 below 0. Where I lived in a suburb of Chicago when I was growing up, first in Aurora and then in Plano, we saw those negative numbers very, very often in the wintertime, sometimes even in the fall or early spring. So that was a very common thing. It's a very common thing for the northern part of the United States to have their temperature in the negative numbers. So if you're just looking at a normal thermometer, as you can see, this is the Fahrenheit side. This is the Celsius side. That is another part of math that we did not get to in 6th grade this year that I always enjoy getting to. But we always go by the Fahrenheit side for most of our temperatures. And as you can see, here's our 0 degrees, and then we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You count all of these little red lines by 2. But if you go below 0, you do the opposite, or you do the same thing, but you're going the opposite way. 2, 4, 6, 8, negative 10. So you can see how that works over here. You can see it a little more on the Celsius side. 2, 4, 6, 8, negative 10, negative 12, negative 14, and so on. So those are numbers that fall below 0. Negative numbers are just as real as positive numbers. From kindergarten to 6th grade, you have always dealt in positive numbers. When you learn to count in kindergarten, you learn to count 0, 1, 2, 3, or 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians. You guys know that song? So you learn to count positive numbers. Negative numbers is not something that you've heard a lot about, but they are just as real. They are a real thing as much as positive numbers. Let me see if I want to go over any of this with you. The positive numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, are called your counting numbers. Another name for counting numbers is called natural numbers. In algebra, however, we also use the numbers below 0. For example, let's go up to, you should be opening up to page 283. I'm sorry if I haven't said that already. 283, the yellow box. At the top, there's a timeline. Skip down to that. I know we haven't gone over everything else, but let's look at that timeline. Put your finger on the number 6, the positive number 6. So it's just your normal natural number 6 that you're familiar with. Put your finger on number 6. Now go down to number 4. We're going down the number line to go to number 4. Therefore, we know that 6 is what? 6 is bigger than 4, isn't it? I mean, come on. If you have 4 cookies and you get 2 more, you know 6 is going to be more. The same principle works with negative numbers. However, it changes a little bit. Let's go down the number line to negative 6. Now, the number that is closer to the 0 is actually your greater number. So which one is the greater number in negative numbers? Your negative 4 or your negative 6? Your negative 4 is greater than negative 6 because it is closer to the 0. Now, of course, we can't have a number line on our paper from, 0 to negative 1,000 and positive 1,000 this way. No. So we just need to figure that in our head. Which number is greater? Negative 50 or negative 28? Think of that long number line in your mind. Which one is closest to the 0? If we go 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 28 is closer to the 0. Therefore, it is the greater number. So you have to kind of flip your thinking around in your head a little bit. But one way I want to really enforce it in your mind is think of it as which number is closest to the 0. All right, let's go back up to our yellow box. Negative numbers. Sometimes the number 0 is used as a reference point. When you're looking for a place to start on a number line, the best place to start is guess at 0. It's your reference point. For instance, on the Celsius temperature scale, water freezes at 0 degrees. This does not mean that there is no temperature. Just because it is 0 doesn't mean it's 0 temperature. Ooh, that just gets tricky in your mind if you think about it too much. With temperature, 0 degrees is a reference point, but temperatures that are greater than 0 are positive. That little plus sign stands for positive. Temperatures that are less than 0 degrees are negative. Look at this little dial over here. The dial is pointing 2 places before the 0. Now, all of those lines count as 2. So what is our degree on that half circle blue dial? It is negative 4 degrees because we've counted by 2 there. 2, 4, 6, 8, negative 10. Negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 10. And over on our thermometer, the white thermometer with the red coming up, it is showing that it's 8 degrees below 0. And that's how you say that when you're looking at a temperature. It's 8 degrees below 0. Or one other way you could say it's -8 degrees. That way you know it's below 0. Let's go to number 2. Let's talk about our number line again. Again, 0 is a reference point on the number line. Numbers to the right are what, everybody? Positive. Numbers to the left are what, everybody? Negative. Number 3, -7 is read -7. That's how you say that. 2 is read 2 different ways. 2 can be read as +2, or, as you've learned from kindergarten, just 2. It is not necessary to use the positive sign before a positive number. So if there's not a sign before the number, you don't have to say, I don't know if it's negative or positive. Yes, you do. It's positive, because if it's negative, what is it going to automatically have? Definitely a negative sign. Number 4, to compare numbers on a number line, the number to the left is less than the number to the right. So any number to the left is going to be less than the number on the right. That is how -7 is less than -2. We're so used to hearing that 2 is less than 7 because we've always dealt in positives. So we have to retrain our brain. Me and the sign are going to get, mad at one another. My board's coming down. Well, if it comes down, I guess it's okay. It stayed up. Look, it's coming down. It stayed up all the way through all of this distance learning, and it's slowly deciding to come down. I guess it knows that it's the end of the school year, huh? See if I can get that up. Stay up, mister. 2 more days he has to stay up. All right, let's get back to math. All right. Going down to number 4. Did I do number 4? Yes, I did. Let's go down to number 1, class practice, and let's write these in your book today. Number 1, read each thermometer. All these temperatures are what? Everybody say that word out loud with me. All these temperatures are negative. And you can see that on our thermometer of A because we're going below the 0. Don't forget, we're counting each one of these numbers by 2. Each one of these lines by 2. So if we start at the 0, put your finger on the 0, and we start counting lines down 2, what is the degrees of our thermometer? 2, 4, 6. But it is not 6, it is what? -6 degrees. So on your line, in your book, put -6. Going over to B, it's just like what's up in our example box. Put your finger on 0 and let's count our lines. -2, -4. That's where our arrow is at. So our answer to B is -4. All right, let's go to C. Again, put your finger on 0 and count your lines by 2. -2. Oh, wait a minute. I'm counting off here. Oh, this one, I'm sorry. This one we are not counting by 2s on because look, there's actually 10 spaces from 0 to -10. So we're counting by 1s on this one. So going up from 0, -1, -2, -3, and again, our answer is -4. Put that one on the blank. Let's check out D. We're coming down from 0 at -20 degrees, then to -30. We're one line, counting by 2s, above -40. So what is that going to be? Definitely -38. Now, on the line with your numbers, make sure you have your negative sign, because this is not the same number as this. So if you don't add that with your negative numbers, you know what your teacher is going to do? Come by and mark it wrong if you don't have the correct sign on it. Let's get in the habit right now in 6th grade of making sure that negative sign is there. Let's go on down to number 2. Are greater than or less than? Let me get a cloth to clean that off. I believe I'm getting a bad cold, so if we were together in school, I'd probably have to not be close to you guys. Brother Preston keeps insisting that I go to the doctor, but I'm being a little stubborn because I think it's just allergies. All right. And I said, if it was you who had a little bit of a cough and a little bit of a runny nose, you wouldn't go to the doctor either. Don't tell him I said that. All right. Let's look at this. Number 2, greater than or less than. Now, we learned this from the beginning of the year. Greater than or less than. Remember, we have an alligator mouth opened. Remember, we gave him some teeth. And what is this Mr. Alligator going to want to eat up? I promise you he's not going to want to eat up the smaller number. He's going to want the most of anything. So what is he going to chomp? He's always going to chomp the larger number. So you want his mouth opened towards the larger number. 10 is greater than 2. I'm going to use positive numbers. 75 is less than 95. His mouth is open and chomping the bigger number. So that's just a little review because we haven't talked about greater than or less than in a while. Let's go on down to -2. To number 2. Now, normally when our first thought would be on A, that 7 is greater than 3. But what is 7? It's a -7. Therefore, it is actually what? Less than 3. So on A, your problem should look like this. -7 degrees is less than, what is that? 3 degrees. Normally, we would be pointing to the 3 and eating up the 7, but 3 is actually bigger than -7. Let's go through these. B, 6 degrees is what to 8 degrees? Easy peasy, they're positive numbers. 6 degrees is less than 8, so your alligator mouth should be open to 8. C, ooh, look at this one. 0 degrees, is it greater than or less than -5? Because it's negative, 0 is the greater number, so your alligator mouth needs to open to the 0. D, -4, greater or less than 4. -4 is what? It is definitely less than, so your alligator mouth needs to be chomping your +4. Let's go on down to E, 15, positive numbers, greater or less than 12. It is definitely greater than. F, 0, is it greater or less than -1? I hope you're all shouting out greater than. G, -20. Ooh, here's a good one. -20, is it greater than or less than -19? Now let's think of it this way. Let's think of that number line in our mind. -20 is -20 closer to 0 or is -19 closer to 0? -19 is closer to 0 on a number line, therefore -19 is greater than -20. So your alligator mouth is chomping your -19. And H, 41 is greater than or less than -80. Normally with our positive numbers, we would think, oh, 81's the larger number, but it is not because it has a negative in front of it. Therefore, your 40 is greater than -81. Let's go on down to number 3. I hope you've written all those in your book. Number 3, what is our square root? A little bit of a review from yesterday. Square root of 81. Remember, we have to have 2 of the same numbers to be squared, or another way to look at it is this number times this number equals 81. What number is that? I hope you're remembering that. Am I on the camera? 9 squared is 81, or 9 times 9. Oops, oh goodness. Really not concentrating today, guys. Forgive me, please. 9 times 9 equals 81. Therefore, the square root of 81 is what, everybody? It is 9. Very good. So you need to put 9 underneath that. The square root of 121. 2 positive numbers, the same number multiplied together. I hope some of you are shouting out 11. How about C? Square root of 64. What times what equals 64 and it's the same number? It is a perfect square. It is 8. Very good. Now, don't let D and E trick you up here. It's very easy. The square root of 9/16. And what's our other one? The square root of 1/4. Now, we're just going to take the square of our numerator and the square of our denominator and put it in a new fraction. So the square root of 9/16. What's my perfect square of 9? What's the square root of 9? It is 3. What's the square root of 16? My perfect square root of 16 is 4. Therefore, the square root of 9/16 is 3/4, or 3/4 squared equals 9/16. But this is what needs to be on your book, is just your 3/4. Now, don't let this one confuse you. What's the square root of 1? You're going to say, 1 is so little, it doesn't have any number multiplied by itself that equals 1. Oh, yes, it does. Guess what it is? 1 times 1 equals 1. Sometimes the simplest things is what throws us off track. The square root of 1 is 1. What's the square root of 4? Perfect square of 4 is 2. Therefore, the square root of 1/4 equals 1/2. And that needs to be in your book. And F, the square root of 1.44, I'm just going to give you that answer. What's 12 times 12? 144. You throw those decimal points in there, and the square root of 1.44 is, anybody shouting it out? 1.2. 1.2. So we did math together today, and I am not going to give you any circled numbers for review. So you are done with math. You don't have to put any of that on notebook paper, and you don't have to put any of that in your folder. So I will meet you in language. Before we begin language today, you need 2 things, and it says it on your syllabus. You need your white envelope that was in your blue folder. If for some reason you have lost it, you can use any envelope that maybe your parents have at home, but I would rather you use that envelope if you have one. So go get that. You will also need a clean sheet of notebook paper. And I'm going to meet you right back here in language once I get my book. All right, you should have your envelope and a clean piece of notebook paper. And we are going to talk about what we're doing in language today. Today in language, you are writing a letter to yourself. And you're going to say, oh, Sister Preston, do I really have to do this? And I'm going to say, yes, you really do. I want you to put it in your folder this Friday. And it is for part of your class participation grade, so make sure that you get it done. But first, we're going to address the envelope, because I'm not going to see your letter. You're going to fold your letter up and put it inside. So I want you to address the envelope. You're going to actually address the envelope to yourself, because someday, and you have no idea when, someday I'm going to mail this letter back to you, to your home, and you're going to get to read the things you wrote about. So let's open up in your language book to page 278. 278. That's going to give you a refresher on how to write an envelope. Now on page 278, you'll see at the very bottom there's an envelope that says Mr. Michael Morrow, 225 Hilltop Lane, Arlington, Texas, 76013. That's where you're going to put your address, because when I mail it, I'm of course going to mail it to you. So that's where you're going to put your address. So here we have this big envelope. All right, so for example, if Lucas, on his envelope, he's going to write his name. He can even call himself Mr. Lucas Stinnett. I don't know his home address, but I know he lives on Garner Hills something or another. Maryville, Tennessee. What do we need before our city and state? I hope you're all screaming out, comma. He'll need a house number there. and then his zip code. I don't know what it is, but like mine is 37737. So if you don't know all of this information about your house, like if you haven't memorized your zip code and everything, that's okay. It's not a biggie. Just ask your parent. Make sure you get the correct one on there, because I'm going to mail it to you, and it's not going to be in the next day or two. It's not going to be in the next week or two. You don't know when it's coming to you. So your address goes there. Now, as you'll notice on page 278, Kevin, goodness, I don't know how to say it, Kevin Gipe, that's going to be the return address. However, the return address needs to be me, since I'm actually the one sending it, because if it gets lost in the mail, it needs to come back to me. I don't know why it would get lost in the mail, but that happens sometimes. So this up here is what needs to be written. And I'm going to write it down here just so you can see it. I can't write it quite that big up there. Latricia Presson, 1780 Derby Downs Drive. I'm giving you all of my address, which I don't know if that's a good idea or not, huh? Friendsville, Tennessee, 37737. Everybody see that clearly? So that's what's going to go up here in this circle. Okay? All right, if you need more time to write that down, then just pause me and write it down, because I need to erase it. So your address goes here. My address goes there. I'm going to put a stamp on it for you when I mail it, so don't worry about putting a stamp on it. I'm going to erase this, so if you need my address, go back and rewatch that. All right. Next, here's what I want in your letter. First of all, I want you to put today's date. And honestly, let's see, what is today's date? I never teach on the same day. So today is Wednesday for you. Today's May 13th, 2020. You can make this letter as long as you want to yourself. If you want it to be 2 or 3 pages, that is fine with me. If you want to discuss quarantine in it a little bit, I think that would be so cool, because this is something we've never been through before. If you wanted to put some memories of quarantine time in there, I think that's a great idea, but you don't have to. Here's what I want. The first thing that I want you to put in your letter, and I want you to say, Dear Ariana. You are writing a letter to yourself. And of course, if your name is not Ariana, you're not going to put it. You're going to put your own name. The first thing I want you to give me a paragraph. Now, a paragraph's going to be about 4 sentences or more, so don't get skimpy on here on me. Important thing you learned about you in 6th grade. Did you learn if you tried harder, you could be a better student? Did you learn that you didn't try very hard, so your grades weren't that great? Did you learn that if you improved your prayer life, your day went better? What did you learn? Tell me something that you learned about yourself. I'm not talking about, oh, I learned how to put a comma between compound sentences. That's not what I mean. Tell me something you learned about yourself. Or you can tell me about an experience that you had in 6th grade. Experience. Okay? So that's the first 2 choices for your first paragraph. Important thing, wow. Important thing you learned about you in 6th grade, or an experience in 6th grade. Number 2, tell me some things you want to accomplish this summer. And they can be fun things, but throw in a couple serious things. Maybe you want to accomplish being more devoted to an everyday prayer life. Or maybe you already have an everyday prayer life, which is awesome. But maybe you want to pray 5 minutes longer than you normally prayed. Or maybe one thing you want to accomplish this summer is spending a little more time with a parent, or showing a little bit more affection to a sibling. Or maybe you want to accomplish not complaining as much. Or I don't know, what do you want to accomplish this summer? I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish this summer that I need to accomplish. Maybe you just want to make your bed every day this summer. That would be fantastic. Tell me some things you want to accomplish this summer in a paragraph. So again, this is paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2. So again, you're going to need to put several sentences in there, guys and girls. I'm going to go down a little bit with my camera. And number 3. Paragraph 3 can be in number form. Tell me 5 goals, 5 goals that you want to set for yourself as a 7th grader. 5 goals set for 7th grade. Now, this paragraph is things you want to accomplish this summer. This one is about 5 goals that you want to set for 7th grade. And you can list them instead of a paragraph if you want to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe you want to have better study habits. Maybe you want to work on your handwriting. Oh my, that would be so wonderful for some of you. Maybe you want to get in the habit of using punctuation and capital letters. That would be so great for some of you. Tell me some things. Maybe you want to focus more in the classroom. Maybe you want to show everybody around you that you're going to be a more focused and hardworking student. Tell me 5 things, 5 goals that you want to set for 7th grade. Maybe you want to be the most active worshiper in Rush next school year. I don't know. That would be an amazing thing. Maybe you want to make sure you have your Bible every single day at school, your Bible every time at Rush. Set some goals for 7th grade, at least 5, and give them to me. And the very last one, am I running out of room? Tell me, close out your letter to yourself by telling me, this is getting messy, 1, and you can tell me more, definitely, but you have to tell me at least 1 thing you love. Am I running out of room? Let's just go down here. Tell me 1 thing that you love. Guess what I'm going to say here? About you. Ha ha ha. You didn't think, you thought I was going to say about God or about school or about your family. No. I want to know 1 thing that you love about you. And I can hear some of you, especially some of you girls, saying, I don't like anything about me. There's nothing about me that I like. That is so untrue. And I'm going to fix my camera back because it's driving me crazy. You, my dear soon-to-be 7th grader, are made in the image of God, and there are many, 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 many things to love about you. So tell me at least 1 thing that you like or love about yourself. I don't know. I'm trying to think of, Sister Preston, be a good example and tell them something you love about you. It is hard, isn't it? 1 thing I love about me. One thing I love about me is I love the fact that my kids always know that I'm going to make any event in their life special. Does that work? If they've finished their first year of college, like Riley just has, I'm going to do something special for him. If it's their birthday, of course I'm going to do something special. If it's Christmas, there are certain memories that we have, and that's not a very good one to choose from. But I do love that my kids are confident in me, that they know I'm the kind of mom who's going to make it special, make it pop. There. So I told you something that I love about myself. So Tell me what you love about you. And once you're done with that, and I know I'm way here at the bottom, I want you to sign it with your own name. Love Owen. Or whatever your name is, you must sign it at the bottom of your letter. So I'm going to actually move this because it doesn't make sense floating up here. I'm going to put this down one more time. So down here at the bottom, love or best wishes, Owen, or whatever your name is. So if you need to look at that for a minute, and I will, my battery's going dead, but I'm going to go over it one more time. Important thing you learned about you in 6th grade or an experience that you had in 6th grade. Some things that you want to accomplish this summer. Tell me 5 goals that you're going to set for 7th grade. And number 4, tell me one thing you love about you. So you're going to write that letter. You're going to fold it up, put it in your envelope. Your envelope, I think, has a sticky thing on it. Seal it so I can't see it. This is private. I will not be looking at it. It is from you to you from you. Don't forget your address on the front. And that's language for today. So I can't wait for you to get those letters back and read them to yourself later. So I will see you in our next class after I charge my phone, which is going to be health. Hey guys, I'm going to sneak in here before health and tell you that I forgot to talk to you about reading. You should have finished yesterday your paper doll, and I hope it's as adorable as mine was, but make sure you text it to me. I need the front of it and the back of it. My phone number is 865-621-8443, so make sure you send that to me. And history today, you had one last worksheet to do, so get that done, and you are officially done with history in 6th grade. So put that in your folder for me for Friday. So get both of those things done for me. I cannot wait to see your paper dolls. That is for a grade, for your class participation grade for this week for reading, and I will actually be showing those on YouTube tomorrow to all of your class, so make sure you tune in for that. Thank you. 6th grade, we've been talking about drugs for medical purposes and for non-medical purposes. They are used for such things as surgeries and deadening parts of your body so they can be operated on, helping to put you asleep, but they are also used for non-medical things that lead to abuse, that lead to addiction, terrible things in your body, and as well as your brain. And I hope you've all been listening along with that because, as I said, it's something very important at this time of your life. I know you're all aware of it, but it is so important for it to be something you don't ever want to do, for you to make a commitment to right now, to stay away from it. Let's open up to page 128. I know it's the next to the last day of school, so I know I've taken up a lot of your time already, and summer is right around the corner. It's so close we can smell it. So let's get through this together, but this is important to me, so hang out with me for the next few minutes because it's important to me. Thank you. Page 128, tobacco byproducts. Nicotine. Another harmful stimulant of the heart and the nervous system is nicotine. This drug is found in tobacco, which is sold in many forms: cigarettes, cigars, pipe tobacco, chewing tobacco, and snuff. Medical and scientific knowledge leaves no doubt that this is harmful. Tobacco smoke contains more than 3,000 different substances. The most harmful of these are nicotine, tar, and carbon monoxide. Smoking regulations have come such a long way from the time that I was a little girl. When I was a little girl, you could go into a restaurant and the people at the table right next to you could be smoking a cigarette. And so the whole time you're eating, of course, you're breathing it and your food smells like smoke. And when you leave, your clothes smell like smoke, that sort of thing. which is kind of a big deal when you don't have a smoker in your home and you're not used to it. But later, when I got a little bit older, I was still a young girl, they started to make the rule that there would be smoking or non-smoking sections in restaurants. That's something you're not even familiar with. And of course, my family didn't smoke, so whenever we would go in a restaurant, we would ask for the non-smoking section. And that way, you didn't have to breathe all of the smoke in while you were eating your lunch or your dinner. You could still smell it, I think, in a restaurant because it's just a hard smell to disguise. But of course, we know nowadays that there is no smoking in restaurants and in hospitals or most anywhere. Like at Dollywood, there's regulated spaces for smoking, and same at Disney World, things like that. And restaurants, you have to go outside, and there's no longer smoking on airplanes. You used to actually could smoke on an airplane, which seems pretty dangerous to me, but so the rules have really changed. They've gotten stricter. There are no longer commercials on TV for cigarettes. When I was young, there was commercials on TV for cigarettes, and they promoted them to young people as well as old. Also, during my lifetime, they have put on I don't know if they talk about that or not, like any advertisement that they have in magazines or whatever, they have to put the little label on that says, what is it called? The warning. Oh goodness, it's left me. The smoking warning, the smoking hazard on the magazine is, I believe it's even on a package of cigarettes. So big changes, because we have become more aware of how life-threatening it really is. Nicotine is a poison. Everybody say that out loud. Nicotine is a poison. It's sometimes used in insecticide. That's the stuff your parents spray to kill insects. You don't want to smoke that into your body, inhale that into your body. When tobacco smoke is inhaled, some of the nicotine goes directly to your brain. Less than 10 seconds after the first puff, nicotine causes the blood vessels to narrow. Therefore, the blood is having a hard time to get to your heart. The heart rate and blood pressure increase, making the heart work harder to circulate the blood throughout your body. Smoking tobacco can increase a person's heart rate by 21 beats per minute after smoking just one cigarette. Occasionally, a smoker's heartbeat becomes irregular and actually causes chest pain. The blood vessels in the fingers and toes and in the skin around the mouth and eyes can become so narrow that they no longer carry enough oxygen and nourishment to keep these body parts healthy. Let me say again, why do that to yourself? Why? Smoking tobacco is also harmful to the nervous system. It can cause headaches, trembling, nervousness, sleeplessness, and irritability. Continued use of nicotine can lead to tolerance as well as what, everybody? Addiction. Because of their dependence on nicotine, many people use tobacco even though they know its use is harmful and may cause early death. Paul, a habitual smoker, is always complaining of cold hands and feet. Can you explain why he might have this problem? I wish we were together so we could talk about it. We talked about how the blood vessels get thinner due to the nicotine in the blood. So as the blood vessels get thinner, it's harder to get blood to your hands and to your feet, and therefore they get cold. Tar, the thick brown sticky substance that is produced when tobacco burns, is called tar. Tar is known to be a carcinogen, which is a substance that causes, say that word with me, cancer. Every time tobacco smoke is inhaled, sticky tar builds up along the air passages and collects in the lungs. This buildup slows down and eventually destroys the sweeping action of the cilia, which are tiny hair-like projections in the air passages that collect dust and other objects from the air we breathe in as they pass along the surface of the mucous membrane. This allows more inhaled cancer-causing tar to get buried down deep in your lungs. And I'm going to tell you that excuse me. Most of you know that I have had cancer. And I promise you, It is something I don't ever want to go through again in my life. And so if there's something that I know has been proven that could cause cancer, do you think that I want to partake of that? No. And cigarettes have been proven to cause cancer. So I am asking you to think about that anytime that you are around that situation. I have always told my children, if you are in a bad situation, it is your responsibility to get yourself out. Walk away, find another friend. It's your responsibility to get out of that situation. Call your mama on the phone and I will come rescue you. You can call your teacher on the phone and I will come rescue you. Smoking tobacco for a long period of time can result in such lung diseases as chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and yes, lung cancer. The swelling of the bronchial tubes from bronchitis produces a constant cough. This constant hacking cough, often called a smoker's cough, is an attempt of the lungs to rid themselves of that buildup of that black sticky tar and mucus. Bronchitis can lead to emphysema, which is a disease which causes the alveoli, or the air sacs, in the lungs to lose their ability to expand and contract. Therefore, if you can't have that expanding, you can't have the ease of breathing. Going down to carbon monoxide. Each time a smoker inhales, carbon monoxide replaces some of the oxygen that is carried by the red blood cells. The smoker must then breathe faster to take in sufficient oxygen to meet all the needs of his body. The less oxygen he has in his bloodstream, the more tired he is going to feel. Since carbon monoxide and tar both cause shortness of breath during physical activity, good athletic skills and smoking do not go together. Carbon monoxide also slows down a smoker's reaction time and might even affect their hearing and their vision. I promise you, everything that you hear about smoking is going to be negative, like those negative numbers below zero, nothing positive about it. We are going to skip exercise for fitness. You are welcome to read about that. I'm just not going to take time. Secondhand smoke. We have all been around secondhand smoke at one time in our life. Smoke goes directly into the air from the burning end of a cigarette, cigar, or pipe, known as a side stream smoke or secondhand smoke. And it can be harmful both to smokers and non-smokers. Immediate effect on a non-smoker might cause stinging or watery eyes, a runny nose, a headache, a cough, a hoarseness, a sore throat, upset stomach, and even dizziness. Respiratory infections and diseases seem to be more common in children who are exposed to secondhand smoke of parents than in children of non-smokers. Smokeless tobacco. Smokeless tobacco comes in various forms. Chewing tobacco contains chopped leaves, which may be loose in a firmly pressed cake. Users take a plug or a piece of tobacco to chew or dip, which places it between the cheek or lower lip in the gum. And many of you might even have family members that do this. It's kind of a prevalent thing, I think, here in the South among some of the men. However, it is just as dangerous for them as smoking is. Snuff is a powdered or finely ground tobacco leaves and stems. Snuff may be inhaled or snuffed through the nostrils. Snuff is also dipped by putting a pinch of it between the lower lip and the gum, or between the cheek and the gum. Chewed and dipped tobacco is held in the mouth for a long time. Since most smokeless tobacco also contains sugar, the number of cavities increases among these users. The tobacco juices causes the gums to pull away from the teeth and can result in diseases inside of the mouth. Within 20 minutes of using smokeless tobacco, nicotine is absorbed where? Into the bloodstream. The nicotine has the same effects, including tolerance and, yes, addiction. Smokeless tobacco irritates the inside of the mouth, resulting in smooth white patches or thick hardened sores that can lead to cancer of the mouth. Users of smokeless tobacco greatly increase their risk of cancer of the mouth, throat, larynx, and esophagus. Danger, danger, danger. Stay away from it, please. I'm going to skip this quick checkup for the time being. You do not have to do that checkup on paper. Let's talk about alcohol. Ooh, I have a lot of reading to do today for my croaky throat here. Let's talk about this, so I'm going to do it. Possibly the most commonly abused drug, I want to say that again. Possibly the most commonly used drug is alcohol. It is a depressant, a drug which slows down the rate of the body's activities. Because they produce a dreamy, floating feeling, depressants are often used by people who want to escape their problems. But are they really? No. The alcohol found in alcoholic drinks is a colorless liquid called ethanol or ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol is made from grains such as barley, corn, and rye, or from grapes or other fruits. Yeast, molds, and bacteria cause the sugar in these plants to ferment or to kind of sour or mold. Mold is not the correct word, but beer is made when grain mixed with liquid ferments. Fermented fruit juice becomes wine. Hard liquors such as gin, whiskey, vodka, rum, and brandy are distilled from fermented grain or fruit juice to make the alcohol content higher. Now, let's talk about alcohol in the bloodstream. Do you think it's going to be a positive or a negative situation? Of course, it's going to be a negative situation. It is a substance that is not good for our body that the Lord wants us to stay away from. The alcohol in alcoholic drinks does not have to be digested. Thus, it immediately enters where? The bloodstream. From the stomach and small intestine to be carried where? All over your body. The higher the alcoholic content of a drink, the greater the amount of alcohol in the blood. The effects of alcohol on a person are related to body weight. Alcohol, therefore, has a greater effect on children or teenagers than it does on adults. Let's talk about this. The choice is yours. Peer pressure. In a class at school, Sarah has heard, just like you, about alcohol's effects and dangers. Even though she did not make a personal decision about it at the time, she knew in her heart that drinking was wrong. Later that same week at a friend's house, some of Sarah's friends took wine coolers out of the refrigerator. At first, Sarah refused to join in, but after the others called her chicken, she gave in and started drinking too. It made her feel really good for a while, but then she started to feel sleepy and sick. A firm decision. The next day, Sarah realized that what she had done was very wrong. She talked it over with her parents, which I think is amazing. I think that you should feel free to take anything to your parents or your guardians. They gave her some wise advice. Sarah decided that day that she would never drink alcohol again. She knew that in her mind that she had firmly made up ahead of time. It would be much easier for her to hold on to her decision when the temptation rose again, and it probably did. That's why I'm asking you to make that same decision in your mind right now of saying no. Let's talk about the alcohol's effect on the brain. Since alcohol may be purchased legally by adults, many people think that it is not extremely harmful. When alcohol reaches the brain, however, the body's activities slow down. The alcohol interferes with the oxygen supply to the cerebrum, which is where we do our thinking. We've talked about that. It gives the user less control over his actions. A lot of times, like in movies and stuff, they make drunk people do silly, ridiculous things, which sadly sometimes we laugh about, but that really happens because people don't have control over their body. With small amounts of alcohol, well, I just said it, the user may act silly, irritable, angry, or even depressed. Because his self-control is reduced, he may do things he usually would avoid because he considers them wrong. Now, I am the type of person, and I hope that you are as well. I want to be fully in control of myself and my body at all times. I don't want to put anything in it that makes me not in control of the real person that I am. Larger amounts of alcohol cause confusion. Now there's a new word for you. Confusion and loss of judgment, poor muscle control, lack of coordination, slurred speech, blurred vision, and again, dizziness. A person who drinks a large amount of alcohol usually suffers from a hangover. And my phone is going dead. Let's see if we can get a few more minutes out of it. Where did I here? That is, he may experience a severe headache, an upset stomach, a rapid heart rate, and weakness. Very high doses of alcohol can cause unconsciousness and even death. Alcohol-related diseases. The habitual drinking of an alcoholic beverage is a leading cause of what? Say that with me, 6th grade. Of death in the U.S. Drinking too much too often can cause permanent damage to the body and the brain. Alcohol takes water from the body, causing parts of it not to function properly. Drinking alcoholic beverages may also cause a person to lose their appetite. If their body is not nourished over a period of time, it can't fight diseases, it can't fight illnesses. Alcohol harms and can eventually destroy the function of the liver. And that's probably one of the organs that it destroys the most, like smoking destroys the lungs. Alcoholism destroys the liver. It can also lead to liver cancer. Because alcohol irritates the digestive system, a person who drinks alcohol is more susceptible to cancers of the stomach tract than those who don't. I'm going to go on down to the next paragraph. Alcohol abuse can also have a devastating effect on the cardiovascular system, which is what? Your heartbeat system, your heart system. Alcohol makes the heart work harder, but yet it doesn't do as good of a job. Heavy drinkers often have higher than normal blood pressure. Alcohol causes the heart to pump less blood. Thus, in order to supply the body with the amount of blood it needs, the heart then must work harder and become more rapid. These prolonged irregular heartbeats, elevated blood pressure, and increase of fats in the blood will lead to heart disease and possibly an early death. Wow. This may all sound like this is all awful. Because you know what? It really is awful. And that's what they're wanting you to see, but they're giving you a scientific approach of it instead of just saying, don't do it because it's bad for you. They're telling you how bad it really is for you. So I want you to be like Sarah and not make, I want you to be unlike Sarah to not make the wrong decision, but I want you to be like Sarah in making a decision that you are going to be ready to say no. How can you be ready? Practice it in your mind. Practice some things that you might say if anybody ever asks you to partake in some of this. Think of what you're going to say. Say, no, I like myself better than that. No, I know that it's not good for me, and I want to be a better person than that. I don't care what you say. Just say no. But seriously, think of something, how you're going to stand up for yourself and say no. It will be leading you to a much better life and pleasing to the Lord for sure, and pleasing to your 6th grade teacher. We're stopping there today, and I hope I feel better for you tomorrow so I can really enjoy our last day together on YouTube tomorrow. So please take heart everything that I'm saying in health this week. It is important. It is important. It is important. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow. And I am so sad to say that tomorrow is our last day, but I am anxious to see you on Friday at dismissal, just so I can at least actually see you. You guys get to see me every day, but I don't get to see you. So I will see you tomorrow. Have a great evening.